Hi everybody, Josh Rappaport here with Now I Get It Tutoring, and right now I'm going to present the second part of the lesson on quadratic trinomial factoring. And the whole point of this lesson is to show patterns 3 and 4 of quadratic trinomial factoring. Pattern 3 is what we'll start with, and in pattern 3 the order of the signs is positive, positive, negative, as illustrated by our example, which is x squared, positive x squared of course, plus 3x minus 10. So you can see the order of the signs there. That's a positive, that term is a positive, and that term is a negative. That's where we get our pattern positive, positive, negative. And the way it factors is it factors into two parentheses just as patterns 1 and 2 did, but the signs are a little different. We get x and x, but now we get a positive sign in one parentheses and a negative sign in the other parentheses. Sometimes people wonder, does it matter which parentheses has the positive and which one has the negative? The answer is, in this case, it does not matter. As long as the value of a, the first term, the invisible coefficient there, is a positive 1. As long as that's a positive 1, you could go x minus and then x plus over here. It makes no difference. Okay, when we get into trinomials where that a value is not positive 1, then it will make a difference. But for now, not to worry. Okay, so now we're going to just go through the steps for factoring this trinomial as a model of the positive, positive, negative form of a quadratic trinomial. So here are steps. The first step is that we just show the problem and we show the parentheses pattern. So again, here's our problem, x squared plus 3x minus 10. And our pattern for factoring it, x plus in one parentheses, x minus in the other parentheses. And all we're trying to do is find out what numbers go right here and right here. Alrighty. Step 2, same as in quadratic trinomial factoring patterns 1 and 2. And there's so much the same. That's what I like about this way of presenting it. So again, we find b and c, the values of b and c, and the absolute value of b and c. So you can see that the b value is positive 3, the c value is negative 10. So the absolute value of b is 3, and the absolute value of c is just 10. And step 3, this is the step that's a little bit different. Find factors of the absolute value of c that are apart by the absolute value of b. As you'll recall, with patterns 1 and 2, we looked for factors of the absolute value of c that summed or added up to the absolute value of b. Here we're looking for factors of c, absolute value of c that are apart by that absolute value of b. That's the key difference, and that's going to be true for pattern 3 and pattern 4. Okay? And the key to that, the key to remembering it is this. With both pattern 3 and pattern 4, the third sign is negative. Okay, so when the third sign is negative, that's your clue that you're looking for factors of the c term, the absolute value of c, that are apart by the absolute value of b. When that last sign is positive, it means you're looking for factors of the absolute value of c that add up to the absolute value of the b. Okay, so let's see how this works in this example. So now, since the absolute value of c is 10, the absolute value of b is 3, we're actually looking for factors of that 10, the c, that are apart by the absolute value of b, the 3. So factors of 10 that are 3 apart. So we make the same kind of little chart or table that we had before. The only difference is, instead of writing sum to over here, we write apart by. So we've got factors of 10, f1 and f2 for our factors, that are apart by 3. So we start out, as we did before, looking at the easiest factors to think of. Just 1 times 10 gives you 10. So 1 times 10 gives you 10. And then how far are those apart? Well, 10 minus 1, you just subtract, is 9. That's not what we want. We want factors that are 3 apart. So that's a no. Then you say, what else goes into 10? Well, 2 does. 2 goes into 10 5 times. So we have 2 and 5. And how far apart are 2 and 5 on the number line? They're 3 apart. Another way to think of it is 5 minus 2 is 3. It's that simple. So that's exactly the amount apart we want. They're 3 apart, so that's the pair of numbers that we want right there. That takes us right over to step 4. We plug the discovered values into the parentheses, and what we do is we give the larger of the two numbers that we found, that would be the 5, of course, since 5 is larger than 2, we give that larger number to the parentheses that has the plus sign. Okay, so this parenthesis has the plus sign, so it's going to get the 5. This parenthesis has the minus sign, it's going to get the smaller number, the 2. Okay, now this is a distinction between pattern 3 and pattern 4. With pattern 3, the one we're doing now, the middle sign is positive. And that's your clue that you give the larger number to the parentheses that has the plus sign. So whatever the sign is of that middle term for pattern 3 or pattern 4, you give the larger number to that sign, the parentheses with that sign. Okay, so here we go. We give the larger number 5 to the parentheses with a plus, so we get x plus 5. Smaller number to the parentheses with a minus sign, x minus 2. And right there, that's the factored form. X plus 5 times the quantity x minus 2 is the factored form of our original expression, our original trinomial, x squared plus 3x minus 10. Those two are absolutely equivalent. So that's how you do pattern 3. And in just a moment, I'll show you the very subtle difference that you have with pattern 4. And that brings us to the fourth kind of trinomial we're going to learn how to factor, the pattern 4 quadratic trinomial. So, what is the pattern 4 quadratic trinomial, and what does it look like? Well, first of all, the order of the signs in the pattern 4 is positive, negative, negative. So an example of it would be this: x squared minus 3x minus 10. Again, you can tell by my intonation what I emphasized was the minus right here, because the difference between a pattern 4 and a pattern 3 is that while the last sign is negative, the middle sign is also negative, whereas in the pattern 3, that middle sign was positive. So we've got a positive, negative, negative here. Now, as far as how that's similar to a pattern 3, here's the key thing. With the pattern 3 and pattern 4, the last sign is negative, and that means that for both of these, the parentheses are going to be a positive sign and a negative sign. That's what you put in after the variable, positive and negative. So that's the exact same thing. That makes it nice and easy. The only difference between a pattern 4 and a pattern 3 is that, as far as the signs go, the middle sign is negative. And here's an easy way to remember what that means. With the middle sign being negative, what that means is that you give the larger number to the parentheses that has the negative sign. So here are your two parentheses. We're going to give the larger number to the parentheses that has the negative sign, not the parentheses that has the positive sign. So that middle sign really determines which parentheses gets the larger number. If it's positive, larger number goes to the parentheses with a positive sign. If it's negative, the larger number goes to the parentheses with the negative sign. So let's just quickly follow through how this works. The first step, we've got the problem and the pattern. Here's our new trinomial, x squared minus 3x minus 10. We've got our parentheses set up with the plus and the minus. Step 2 is exactly the same as it was for the pattern 4. The only difference here is that the b is negative, but the absolute value of b is still positive. So we still have the absolute value of b and c the same, 3 and 10. That means that for step 3, things will be the same as they were for the pattern 3. Find the factors of absolute value of c that are apart by b, factors of 10 apart by 3. They come out the exact same. We've got 2 and 5. Those are the ones that are apart by 3. So here's the one difference, which I'm showing in green here. We plug those discovered values, the 2 and 5, into the parentheses with the larger number, the 5, going into the parentheses with the negative sign, because that middle sign is negative. So we look at our parentheses, we go, which one has the negative sign? This one does. That's the one that gets the larger number, the 5. So we plunk the 5 right there into that parentheses. We put the smaller number, the 2, into the parentheses with the positive sign in this case. And that's it. We're done. We factored a pattern 4 trinomial as well as pattern 3. And of course, in addition to patterns 1 and 2, we've done all the principal quadratic trinomials at this point. And if you just memorize your patterns here and you know what the signs tell you to do, you'll have no problem factoring quadratic trinomials from this point onward. So good luck. I hope you find that helpful. And I will present further tips on factoring quadratic trinomials, some kind of fine-tuning tips that make some aspects of this even easier, because my whole goal is to make things as easy as possible for all of you. And those will come in future videos, but for now, this should be enough to get you started. I'll put up some practice problems so that you can practice the skill of the pattern 3 and pattern 4 right after this video right here, or at the end of this video. And good luck with that, and I'll see you in the next video.